It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And this is news that you can use from CarEdge for Tuesday, August 20th, with your hosts, me, Ray, and, well, the guy not wearing a hat today, Zach. How are you today, handsome?
I am doing well. Just got back from the doctor. I am A-OK, folks. So thanks, everyone, for the well wishes. Today's show is brought to you by our company. 4.5 years ago, my dad and I founded CarEdge.com. If we can help you out with anything car-related, please give us the chance to. A couple things of note. Warranty, the vehicle protection products, those are $150 off between now and the end of the month, so take advantage of that. And Pops, everything we have for free with our research tools, things like that under research. Go take a peek, folks. Dad, the big story this morning, the UAW and Stellantis are beefing, baby. There's a beef brewing in the, I wish I could find another B word. Let me pull it up on the screen, Dad. Stellantis confirms delay in Belvidere plant reopening, but says UAW strike would be illegal. The union says at least 7 locals are prepared to file grievances against Stellantis if the automaker reneges on commitments it made in its 2023 labor agreement. What the heck is going on, Pops? What is happening right now between the UAW and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram?
Well, the same thing that's happening between Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and their dealers. They're not getting what they need or what they thought they were promised. So in this particular case, the UAW is saying, hey, you're supposed to be reopening this plant. That was part of the negotiation process when we settled last year. And now you're delaying it. We're 9 months since settlement, and already you're delaying reopening this plant. You're not living up to your commitments. And what's the one thing that unions have in their toolbox? That's the ability to strike, to shut down the business completely until the business complies or they work out another negotiated arrangement. So it is part and parcel of what it's like to be in labor or in management, and the fights that you have.
It is also another demonstration, Dad, of all of the foils and strategy mishaps at this automaker. So one story here is the fact that, we're reneging on an agreement that we had from last year, which, if y'all weren't paying attention last year, there were strikes aplenty happening last year. And we said at that time that was one of the best things that could have happened for a lot of these automakers because they already had an oversupply of inventory back in 2023. Well, now fast forward to 2024, where, again, one story here is breaking your promises of a renegotiated contract. The other story is these cars aren't selling. And so what is Stellantis doing? They're not producing as many of them. They're intentionally withholding production, which again just goes against the labor contract that they put into place. So there's another story here, Dad. It's the story we continue to bring light to, which is people are not buying these overpriced and expensive vehicles, and it's having downstream impacts.
Well, and I'm sure the manufacturers in their negotiated contracts with the unions have the ability to adjust work schedules based on the supply and demand. And if supply is high and demand is low, they don't have to build as many vehicles just to keep the union members happy. So there's a fine line, a balancing act that has to occur here. And the relationship between the UAW and Stellantis, has never really been a warm relationship. It's always been on the colder side, and this just confirms that that it hasn't really gotten any better, and we don't know that if it really will. But a lot of posturing going on, both from the manufacturer and from the union.
The union is claiming, Dad, is claiming here at least 7 local chapters were prepared to file grievances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, excuse me. The alleged contract violation, quote, imperils all of the other investment commitments the company has made, the UAW has said. So I wonder if this is going to be a one-off story or if this is going to be, ongoing. Something tells me it's going to be ongoing, Dad.
It seems like it. Stellantis has as you know how I like to measure things. Stellantis has a poop ton of problems, and I don't know if they address them as much as they ignore them. I'm not 100% certain. So even though there's this war of words and threatening postures and maybe filing grievances or maybe going on strike, um, at this point it's just that it's probably idle threats. Both the union and the manufacturer know that it's just a battle of wits and words at the moment. What's going to happen? Who knows? I am as concerned for the auto workers as I am for the American public that is confronted with the high prices of the Stellantis products that are out there, and at least to a certain degree, the American public's ability to say, no, we've had enough of this. We're not going to buy your products at this price. And it's, as that impacts Stellantis's business, then maybe we will see a change, because what really
As that
drives
does, it already
everything
is. It already is
customer
impacting their
action.
business, Dad. It already is impacting their business.
Yes, absolutely. So it's just an interesting time. Um, it's a blip in history.
Oh, I don't know, man. I think this could be more than a blip. Coming here to the chat, we've got from David. Thanks, David. Just went to the auction, and Stellantis dealers are dumping new inventory at the auctions.
Well, you got to sell it somewhere.
Think about that, folks. Think about that for a second. These car dealers get the privilege of getting inventory allocated to them from the manufacturer. And then I imagine what would be your only rationale for selling those cars wholesale at the dealer auctions versus waiting for a retail customer? You can't pay the interest cost to hold on to the inventory.
Yeah, and you don't see the ability to be able to sell it for a profit by holding on to it. So you're willing to just sell it for whatever you can get for it and improve your cash flow to some degree.
We've got from our dear friend Igor. These are rumors. I'm hearing rumors who are very high up corporate representatives at Stellantis that they are going belly up. This is shocking to me,
Wow.
Wow. So that's rumors. Rumors here on the Rain Zach channel will be very clear. We have no sources there that Igor's, rumors, folks. But that would be more than a blip, Dad, if that happened.
Yeah, that would be more than a blip, and then we can change the name of the show to rumors you can use as opposed to news that you can use. But
We've got
it
here from
very well
David.
could be. Who knows?
Hi guys, just found out that the Jeep dealer owned by Penske in Jersey City, New Jersey, is closing by end of month. Can't be too surprised to hear that, Dad.
Well, I'm not. Roger likes to have more upscale dealerships, not moderate dealerships with upscale products that nobody wants. He likes having the luxury brands that people want to buy, and not just luxury wannabes like Jeep at this point.
Absolutely. All right,
But
Dad,
it's sad to hear. It is sad to hear that an organization as big as the Penske organization is willing to close one of its Jeep dealerships.
Why is that sad to hear?
Because it impacts employees.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I just meant we're going to see, I think, a lot of dealerships go out of business here. So, one from Penske is not more sad to me than one from, a mom and pop ownership group. But
I just feel bad for those losing jobs. That's all.
Totally, completely agree. Yeah. Another big story this morning comes by way of Mazda. Mazda Incentives soar, putting pressure on profits. Upmarket moves. Spiraling incentives nearly wiped out Mazda's operating profit in the last quarter as the company spent more to sell more. Put you on the spot, Pops. I'm going to put everyone in the chat with us on the spot. What automaker does this sound like from a couple weeks ago?
It sounds, at first glance, eerily similar to Nissan until you read a little deeper into the article and you find out that Mazda's still doing okay. They're just spending more to go more upscale, and having success as far as sales are concerned in order to do that. where Nissan is spending more and not necessarily finding the same level of success that Mazda is.
I'm not going
But
to let you just gloss over the Nissan comparison, Pops. Let me pull up. This was the headline from July 25th.
yeah,
CEO Makoto Uchida says Nissan U.S. incentive spending nearly erases quarterly profit. Aging product portfolio and lack of hybrids also impacted U.S. sales. In Nissan's case, they lost 99% of their operating profit year over year. Again, the headline a month later here with
yes.
Mazda, August 20th, Mazda incentives soar, putting pressure on profits, upmarket move. Spiraling incentives nearly wiped out Mazda's operating profit in the last quarter as the company spent more to sell more. You can't tell me those two headlines aren't mirrors of one another.
But you gotta dig a little deeper into the article. It is Mazda admitting that by going up market, it is costing them more to underwrite those sales through incentives. It is costing them more than what they thought it might. Okay, but they are still making money, and while they're making money, they are moving more product in America than they ever have. Now, the same can't be said for Nissan. Mazda is increasing market share while spending more to do it, and Nissan is losing market share while spending 99% of their profit margin to do it. Those are similar but different.
I agree. I agree. But the fact that they had to spend as much as they had to spend to incentivize the sale of their vehicles, and they get into some of the specifics in this article, which we'll touch on in just a moment, to me, sure, their brand is still growing.
Yes.
But they're falling into the same trap that I think all automakers are going to fall into over the coming, year or so. All of these automakers are going to watch their profits evaporate because they're going to have to spend so much to incentivize customers to purchase them. Nissan, maybe that was going to be, like what we thought could be like one-off. Wasn't. Yeah. Now you've got Mazda here, a significant portion of their profit gone, still growing, unlike Nissan, who's not growing. So yes. I think there's a big story here where you're just going to see automaker earnings be worse and worse and worse as they have to spend more and more and more to get people to purchase their vehicles.
But that's to be expected. As incentives rise, as the cost of marketing to sell your vehicles rises,
yep.
your net profit declines. So it's not.
It's a return to pre-pandemic car dealership.
Yes,
100%.
But having read that, I instantly started thinking to myself, well, what Mazda would be a good Mazda for me? As much as I love my Mini, and everybody knows I love my Mini, I started thinking, well, a CX-30 perhaps, mid-30s, fully loaded or pretty heavily loaded, 0% interest for 36 months. I could be on board.
Let me pull this up real quick, Dad. According to Motor Intelligence, Mazda's average incentive spending rose 110% per vehicle for the quarter April to June. That's $2,792. 110% increase in incentive spending. Mazda's outlays still trailed the industry average of $3,158, but its spending jump outpaced the overall market's 67% climb. So automakers increased incentive spending 67% year over year. Mazda increased incentive spending almost double that, 110%.
Yes.
You can see there for the CX-50, incentives nearly tripled. $4,000 is what Mazda was paying you to go buy a new CX-50.
Which, when you consider that they start in the low 30s and work their way up to the mid 40s, that's 10% or more of the average transaction price being covered by Mazda for you. So that's an encouraging sign for consumers. And when I saw that $4,000 basically in incentives on a CX-50, and I don't know exactly what the incentive is on the CX-30, but I started thinking to myself, well, one of those two could be the perfect next car for this short, fat guy.
You are always shopping for a car, man. Don't mind me, Dad. I'm going to go over to CarEdge.com. I'm going to go to the car search. I didn't
Yes.
realize Mazda's inventory situation was what it is. Let's look at the CX-50 real quick, and let's get a pulse check of what's going on out there. There's 18,329 Mazda CX-50s for sale nationwide. Oh my gosh, they get expensive. $46,000 with the Turbo Premium Plus. 62 days on the lot, 38 days on the lot. Here's a new 2025, 2024, 2025. Let's look at this. This is so expensive. Holy cow.
Well, that's you're looking at the very top of the line ones.
Here we go. I'm clicked on a 2024 Mazda CX-50S Select. 82 days on the market. You can see not a lot of margin built into these vehicles. Again, with CarEdge, you can get dealer invoice price for vehicles. And then, Dad, 53 days supply. That's not that high. So I'm at 75070. I forget. Where are we? That sounds like Texas.
I don't know. And the thing is, that the 25s are out, and the 2025 model years are out, and that's primarily what dealers have in inventory at the moment. So
let's take a peek, at days supply of 2025s, because a 53-day supply is low. Like, you've got pricing power there. 144 for sale, but 122 have sold in the last 45 days.
And don't forget that the average incentive on a CX-50 is $4,000. Think about that.
Here we go. The 2025s, 79 2025 Mazda CX-50S Preferreds for sale within 100 miles of McKinney, Texas, but only 2 have sold in the last 45 days. That day's supply number will obviously go down as some time passes here and more of these sell. But yeah, the 25s are fresh, brand new.
Yes.
And they're not selling quite yet.
Yes. But they will, because of the size of incentives that are being offered.
It's pretty interesting, man.
Yeah.
I think Mazda increasing their incentives 110% is just another example. Wow, I'm really at peace in that freeze frame. It's just another example of what automakers are going to have to do here over the coming months through the end of the year. That being said, an executive over at Mazda, Dad, he said the incentive spending should moderate in the latter half of this fiscal year.
Yeah,
that's what I was surprised to hear. Why would you be slowing things down?
Well, because my guess is that they're thinking that as they're creating more awareness for their vehicle, that and the vehicles are getting good reviews, that their incentive spend, they're guessing, will probably go down a little bit because of the popularity of the vehicle. Let's face it, typically, the more a manufacturer has to spend to get somebody to buy their product is because it's not as popular as it had been or as they would have liked it to have been. And in some cases, it's strictly because, well, they've raised the prices so damn much that it's the only way they can keep people interested in them is to offer large incentives. I think Mazda has spent the past 2 or 3 years specifically building up their image again, rebuilding up their inventories, and coming out with vehicles that are good looking and that people want. You back?
I thought you were going to keep going, man. I felt there was more. I just felt more.
I needed a sip of coffee.
Enjoy that sip of coffee. While Pops is getting a sip of coffee, I want to remind everyone we have an ongoing research program that you can participate in, a research study, caredge.com/negative. Do you owe more than your car is worth? We still haven't updated that. Dang it. What did you say we should update that one to?
I forget what I said. You have to play back from last week, but it's how you're asking the question that is wrong.
The TLDR here, folks. We are doing a research study, with Black Book. With Black Book to get a sense and a pulse for what negative equity is like in America today. If you are open to it, please submit. Your vehicle information is entirely anonymous. You can check this out again and participate at caredge.com/negative. It is the top link
Yes,
in the description down below.
If you're asking people, do they have negative equity, most people are going to say they don't. So the question should be, do you have a loan on your present vehicle? And then you can get into the specifics.
Yep. So anyone that's got an auto loan right now, please participate in this. If you paid cash, if your vehicle's paid off, please do not participate. But if you have an auto loan, go to caredge.com/negative and please participate. Dad, shall we continue?
Yes, why not?
Coulter Motor Corporation settles vehicle pricing add-ons case with FTC in Arizona for $2.6 million. The FTC has been busy recently, Dad. The complaint by the FTC in Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays accused Coulter and former general manager of deceptive pricing, discrimination, and double charging. We covered a story yesterday of alleged behaviors similar in Texas. We had one in Arizona, obviously. It's nice to see some enforcement here from the FTC and from states' attorneys general.
Well, what it proves, and of course, Coulter admitted no wrongdoing, but they were it's just cheaper to stroke a check for $2.6 million, rather than say, hey, we didn't cheat, we didn't lie, we didn't steal, and we'll spend whatever it takes to prove everybody wrong who said we did. We'll just write the check. Well, my point to all this is that what it proves is if attorneys general and their consumer affairs divisions actually start to enforce rules and regulations that are on the books, they can help protect the consumers in their states if they choose to. Here is an example where in the state of Arizona, they have chosen to, and they're going to collect $2.6 million because of it. There's an article I don't know if I sent it to you today, but there was an article today about a Rhode Island dealer group, 6 dealers, in the group, and they've agreed, without admitting any guilt or wrongdoing, they've agreed to pay $1 million in the state of Rhode Island. So you start seeing this and you start saying to yourself, we all know that these deceptive practices are going on at dealerships. Everybody knows it. I mean, this is not something where any state representative, anybody in an attorney general's office, anybody in a consumer affairs office can actually look you in the eye and go, really? They're doing things like that? We all know it. The industry has been known to practice in deception, probably since they first started selling Fords way back when. So it is a business model that's based on deception that everybody knows about, that everybody talks about, but that very few people who have the power to enforce it actually try to enforce the rules and regulations to protect their citizenry. And so when you see this, it's like a not so gentle reminder that if the attorney general in your state wanted to, they could bring actions against the dealerships in your states that are utilizing deceptive practices, and they could put pressure to bear and get the dealers to write a check for whatever amount it is without admitting any guilt or wrongdoing, but with the hopes of at least causing those dealerships to back away from those practices, at least for a time being. And so, I know the FTC wants to institute the CARS regulations, and we're in favor of that. But what this really shows is if you just enforce the regulations that are already on the books, then you probably don't need to come up with more regulations. It's all about enforcement.
Question.
Okay, I'll stop. You want to say something, go right ahead.
I'm sitting here in Washington, D.C. Why don't I go to the FTC's office and see if we can start working with them in some capacity, help them in some way? Like,
I,
why have
I
I never done that?
I don't know, and I'm pretty sure the office is not far from where you're located.
No, it's right down the street. Yeah, we as a community, I think we could do more to try and hold dealers who operate in a way that is disingenuous accountable, and quite frankly, bring to light and shine a light on the dealers who don't do this, because it's not every single dealership out there that takes advantage of customers. Many do not, and they ultimately get kind of all characterized and
Yeah.
categorized as being bad guys and bad gals. And like, obviously we are pro, in this case, money going back to consumers. I pulled it up on the screen a second ago, Dad. It was bait and switch advertising, discrimination against Latinos, and improperly charging additional products such as VIN etching. So that's what the FTC got 'em for.
Sometimes even charging twice for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it goes back in all these cases to payment packing, where the dealership will quote a payment range, and if the range is $570 to $590, well, you best believe if you've initialed that that's okay. Well, your payment's going to be $589.47, because that's the high end of
Yeah.
the 570 to 590. You've already agreed to it, and they're going to pack stuff into that payment to get it there. So it's just deceptive business practices that the dealers could stay away from if they choose to. You could probably make just as much money if you did it legitimately as opposed to doing it illegitimately. It's just a guess.
Coming here to the chat, Dad, we have from Julio. Thank you, Julio. Thanks to Ray and Zach and to your concierge service. Now I have my 2024 plug-in hybrid Prius. 2 weeks ago, we'll be responding to my post-survey email soon. Thank you. We know my dad does not like surveys, but
I
we at
hate
CarEdge appreciate when we've helped you with our buying or leasing service, when you give us feedback, tell us areas where we can improve. Julio, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you,
on your new
Julio.
vehicle. From Cloapo, thank you, Cloapo. Have about $5,000 negative on my Porsche Macan. Again, caredge.com/negative. We are doing a research program, a research study to get a pulse for negative equity in the United States. Please participate, caredge.com/negative. And there you go, Dad. $5,000 upside down is what Cloapo thinks he is on his Porsche.
Which is about $1,268 less than the average amount of negative equity on vehicles traded in at dealerships recently.
Again, that data that my dad just quoted comes from Edmunds, and it is severely outdated. That's why we at
So is your father
producing our report, again with Black Book. Cloapo, thanks for this. Glad we are calling it a questionnaire, not a survey. Don't really want to go down that path too far today. And then we've got from Robert. Robert, thanks again for your contribution yesterday. And sorry again to hear about being laid off from Toledo, from Dana in Toledo. I'm changing from hot dogs to the beer cart.
What you should do is combine the two. Really, you should. Is in that way you could probably double your profits.
Probably could. Dad, I just want to bring up two stories really quickly. BMW.
Yes.
BMW is having some issues right now. We've got a recall that just went out this morning. Excuse me, this actually is the stop sale that BMW currently has on 2023 and 2024 X1s, X5s, X7s, XM SUVs, as well as some 5 and 7 series sedans. There's brake system malfunctions. There's a stop sale on many BMWs at the moment. And then this morning, we had another 720,000 BMWs that got recalled because of an electric water pump that may catch fire. The impacted vehicles are here on your screen. These are 2012 to 2018 BMWs.
Wow.
You can see them right there. So, Dad, BMW, some issues this morning.
Yeah,
on the
well, you
front.
would think if the water pump, wouldn't it just start shooting out water? Maybe put that fire right out. Couldn't they do it like a fire suppression system? Like I have in my condo. It was just a
Maybe.
thought.
Maybe they should have called you up and paid you a consulting fee for those brilliant ideas. Dad, I want to remind everyone once more, if we can help out with anything car related, please, folks.
Does it have to be car related?
For our
Could it-
business? Yes, it's CarEdge.com. It's not Life Edge. It's not. Yeah, it's CarEdge. CarEdge.com. Where are you going with this?
I don't know. I mean, couldn't they take? Look, I used to say when I worked in dealerships, I used to say to people, they'd go, "Can I ask you a question?" I go, "Ask me anything." Really, I can ask you anything. I'm not saying I'm going to answer it, but you can ask me anything. Ask us anything, and if we think we can answer it, we'll answer it. If we can't, we'll just tell you we can't. Okay, just keep it car related.
Please
sorry.
keep it car related, folks. The team does not necessarily need to know everything, anything, and everything. Dad, I love you very much. We'll be back at 9 a.m.
Life
Pacific
Edge.
time.
Somebody likes Life Edge. I like that too. Yeah.
Life Edge. I like it. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
We'll be back at 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time for more news you can use from CarEdge.
Indeed, I'm looking forward to being here again tomorrow at the chilly Jersey Shore. It's supposed to go down to like 58 tonight. I might have to break out the electric blanket tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chloe Bo. We appreciate the kind contribution. And yes, save space with Pops.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Tune in tomorrow to learn if my dad used his electric blanket or not. We'll be back 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. See you guys.
Yeah, if I look a little burn up tomorrow, you'll